Hello, Tiger fans. Welcome to Inside CU Sports as we kick off our spring edition of our local sports show here at Campbellsville University. And we start off with Lady Tiger basketball as we visit with the head coach, Ginger Colvin of the Lady Tigers. And, Coach, this has been an interesting season for you guys. So many games at the top in terms of ranked teams early at the outset. No easier in conference play, but here we are. We're already midway through this thing, over midway through.
Yeah, it's flown by in a lot of ways, and it has been interesting. You know, I look at the beginning of the season. If somebody had told me they'd give me this record at this time, I don't know, but I probably would have taken it, knowing the schedule that we've played. And it has flown by. I've got a great group of kids to work with, so time does go by faster. Games go by faster with that, but it's been good so far.
We didn't have a fall edition of Inside CU Sports, so let's take a moment to just familiarize ourselves with some of the Lady Tigers and this roster, Coach. And we'll start with the coaching staff. You bring back Miranda Denny, you bring back Lindsey Bird, two staples of not only the Tiger program, but you know, now on the coaching staff, especially Hootie, who's been around for 10 years, most of your tenure, I think, and having those two, I've got to imagine is such a luxury for you.
It's comforting as much as anything because I know what I'm going to get from them. I know they're going to work hard. I trust them, and you know, we talk so much in our program about trust, and I think if you can build that, you've got anything in any relationship. If you've got that, you've got a good thing. And then you mentioned those two. Lindsey Bird, obviously, she's just a worker, and she coaches our JV team as well, and she's learning by doing that and does a great job with them. And I'm just really blessed. That's a great staff. And then Lexi Pester has come on board and working on some master's classes, and she's just super addition. Just a hard worker and just devotes her time, and we're just super pleased with what we have.
I know we'll leave some folks out here as we start to kind of comb through the roster a little bit, but let's talk about some of those returning this year for you, and we'll start with three of the seniors. And you look at Lauren Turner and Madison Clements and Alexis Graham that you get to bring back, and you start to envision how you want leaders to behave and the characteristics that you want them to display. And those may be three of the best that you can ever have in one group.
Yeah, you know, it's phenomenal sometimes when you get to the point and you look at the kids and you think they've got it, and those kids have it. No issues with them whatsoever. They're team oriented. They've played in big games, and they know what it takes to win. And they've all had their slumps. They've all had their physical issues going into this senior season, major physical issues. Each different ones, and they've all overcome those and are working. You know, you've all got, like, Lauren's going into it maybe with she had a little concussion last week. Had a concussion last week. Madison sprained her ankle. You know, there's things going on with them, but they're tough kids, and like I say, they've played in the big ones, and they've excelled in the big ones, and I don't anticipate anything different from them.
And certainly they're not done yet, but those are the kids that are the holdovers from that team that made that first run at the championship a few years ago. So it's neat to have that big-time experience that those kids often or do bring to the table. And then you look at the junior class, Coach, and you start, I think, for me, Jordan Dorham, a big part of that, then Madison Stewart, Alexis Calhoun, and again, I'll probably leave somebody out here along the line, but that junior class one that continues to, you see that they're going to be right there in a year from now doing the same deal.
Yeah, we're so excited with our junior class. We Jordan and Stu, we call her. Obviously, we have so many Madisons. Everybody has a nickname. So Madison Stewart, I stay on them constantly because I feel like they can be two huge factors in our league, two huge factors in the country. They've both, you know, going back to that national tournament experience, I feel like they were both just great additions for us. Great play the entire tournament. And then Delana Fothergill this season has come in and as junior has given us really great minutes. And another junior I think that's just hit her peak and hit her stride is Madison Kaiser. And she's given us just a great season so far. And she stayed this last summer and worked as hard as any kid I've had. And so that's our class. Alexis Calhoun, you mentioned, came in. She's got a broken bone in her foot, the same thing Madison Stewart had. So she's coming in playing on a broken foot, quote unquote, and she's going to have surgery when season's over. But her last few games have started to show what I think she can give us. Right. And so that's a great class, and we're excited with them.
I'm glad to know that the Madisons trip you up sometimes.
Oh, they do.
Well.
Yeah.
So, well, quite a bit.
I'm not going by nicknames. I'm trying to be professional, and when I can't go by nicknames, it gets me a little bit. But yeah, we talk about how we all communicate. It's like, you hear you say there's twins or triplets. They all have a certain language, and we all have different names we call those kids, and they all respond correctly. So their roommates call them something different. The coaches call them something different. Their teammates do. So yeah, it tripped me up.
Answer to whatever, I guess, at that point. It gets no easier with the sophomore class. You've got a set of twins there, and Caitlin and Kristen Hall,
yes.
Madison Faulkner, and others in the sophomore grouping. The freshman class with Savannah Gregory and some of those that you've brought in this year, Sammy Rogers, Shyla Calvert,
yes.
and others, Ashley McGeorge redshirting. But just in a general sense, the youth in this program, the talent in some of those kids that not only are they here, but these gals, I should say, would play for a lot of the teams in the conference.
Well, I sit and look at everybody calls it our first group and second group. I don't like to refer to it as that, but the kids that come in early in our games or play about the same amount of minutes, I think could probably start for a lot of the teams in our league, if not most every team in our league. And then we were talking earlier, Caitlin Hall and Kristen Hall, our set of twins. Caitlin's getting a lot of valuable minutes. And then you have Shyla Calvert, who's a freshman on the bench, who I think is one of the most energetic, talented kids in our league. And there's just not enough minutes to go around for her in times. So that's a plus. And then Kristen Hall, sophomore for us, I think is really starting to hit her stride. Her practices have been really great. And so, again, that's a kid I think that has a lot of talent that's going to be showcased later on when there's a spot for her. And then Madison Faulkner, if you could model a kid, a teammate after anybody, if you could model your child after anybody, I think Madison Faulkner would be it. That kid is a teammate. Her energy's contagious. Her attitude, everything that you want in a player is in Madison Faulkner. And I'm just so pleased with her and what she's bringing to the table for us.
We'll let Coach catch her breath here. We'll come back and we'll touch base on kind of this season, how it's gone to this point, and we'll also look ahead. The Lady Tigers get set to travel to Lindsey Wilson College on Thursday night, a big one with the Blue Raiders. So stay with us here on Inside CU Sports.
Campbellsville Baptist Church, a church where all ages grow in the love of God. From children and youth worship to sports ministry and mission outreach, Campbellsville Baptist Church shares the love of God both in and outside of the sanctuary. Join us for worship on Sunday mornings at 9 and small group Bible study at 10:30. That's Campbellsville Baptist Church, the people of God sharing God's love because God's love changes the world.
Citizens Bank and Trust Company serves the Taylor County area with 3 convenient locations. Our online and mobile options can make your banking experience even easier, with features such as digital wallet, Touch ID login with our mobile app, and online deposits. Mobile banking also gives you the online control of your Citizens Bank debit card. Along with our banking locations, we also offer a no-charge ATM in the Student Commons on the campus of Campbellsville University. Citizens Bank and Trust in Campbellsville. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Inside CU Sports here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton joined by the head coach of the Lady Tigers, Ginger Colvin, as we combed through those returning players, new faces for the Lady Tigers there on the roster here in this 2017 and 18 season. Coach, this has been a grind. I don't know where you would put this, so I'll just ask the question. In terms of your stint as the head coach of the Lady Tigers, how difficult has this schedule been compared to maybe some of the others?
It's been a tough one. Mostly a lot of road games too, and it just keeps getting tougher. We know our conference play is always going to be tough, and then the out of conference play it was stressful as much as anything. We feel like we've got a good team, and we feel like there were a lot of things we need to do to get up top and stay up top. But yeah, it's been a grind. There's no doubt about it.
And when you put this schedule together, some of the teams you understand, they are where they are, and they're going to be ranked or this, that, and the other. And I think maybe this year, unlike any other, you've had some teams jump up out of nowhere. When you look at the start of the season with the Mid-South Southern States Challenge and a tough game at Bethel down there during that trip. They're ranked, I think, 11th at the time. And that's going to be a difficult one. Central Methodist, Freed Hardman, and on and on. Then you go to Hawaii. You get out to Hawaii, and all of a sudden you've got a Menlo team that you said was one of the best teams you had seen, and Wayland Baptist, who had jumped all the way up to number 5.
Right, and I'm not so sure Menlo's not still one of the top 3 teams we've seen. They did turn around. Vanguard was ranked 1 and beat Vanguard. The only thing with Menlo is I think they're lacking a little discipline, and that's the one thing that might catch them in the end. But talent-wise, it's there. And so they're Central Methodist. You mentioned them. We played them at Pikeville. I don't know that we've played a more talented, more athletic team. Again, they're they were a little back and forth at the beginning of the season, but I think they're a team that you sure wouldn't want to draw into the tournament. And Martin Methodist, you mentioned Bethel and Martin Methodist, but Martin Methodist is leading that league right now and beat Bethel. So yeah, we've Freed Hardman, obviously, we played them in there, and Montana State Northern, who's dropped out of the poll completely. That was a tough team for us to play, but their league is just about like the Mid-South was 3 years ago. They've got 6-7 teams that could be in the national tournament right now.
And you look at that schedule, I think one thing that putting that together, I think you hope that you can always draw back on, but you've had a lot of tough back-to-backs. You've got that Montana State Northern, Freed Hardeman. You had the Central Methodist and West Virginia Tech, who's not bad.
Yes.
You go to Hawaii, long road trip, it's Menlo and Wayland. So, when you guys move into the tournament season in terms of Mid-South and national tournament, you're going to have a lot of experience to draw back on.
That's exactly what we want, and we want to play. I don't like tight games, but we want to play tight games. We didn't even mention Talladega, who will have a chance to come out of their league. We've played at their place and obviously played them at home. And Talladega is a tough place to play. It's just, you look at the schedule at the beginning of the year, and I wonder if I've just, played us out of the tournament. But then once you get to this point and you feel like you've made the grind and you feel like you've gotten yourself, maybe your head above water a little bit before you start Mid-South. And then now I look at this week and you got the same thing again. So it's a test for our kids that they have to keep passing.
You get back to the States. You a couple games here at Mobile, who's a tournament team a year ago, and Stillman College. Then you can get into the Mid-South Conference rigors and the grind that is the Mid-South Conference. But to be on that weekly schedule, to kind of know that we're going to play Thursday, Saturday, and you get into kind of a routine. It was Georgetown first at home, and I know that's a big one for you, and it's always good to kick off that conference schedule with a win. Yeah,
and it was nice to be able to get a home game to start off conference and just to get our feet wet and get play started. And but we're 2 games now, crazy enough from first round of conference. And that's our goal, is to win conference. We stubbed our toe this last week, but we've got 2 big ones this week that we can't lose focus on. You have the road trip to Cumberland's and Life, a couple of wins there. You get Pikeville back at home, begin the conference portion 4-0, and this Pikeville team is one that you can see the talent there. A lot of youth on that team that Coach Williams has, and that's going to be a team to be reckoned with over the next couple of years as well. And even this year, they've been kind of a Jekyll Hyde in the aspects that they've played really, really good and beaten some good teams. And then I know there's some games that Coach would like back on that, but they're a team that I think could sneak up, especially if they shoot the ball well. They've had some injuries, and once they get everybody back, they're a team. I don't know that there's any team you can sleep on in our league, but definitely not Pikeville. You mentioned the Shawnee game on Saturday, the first conference loss of the season, and Coach, I talked about it before the game in the open for radio. This is one of the best rivalries in the country. You've got the long rivalry with Georgetown. You've got the proximity based on Lindsey Wilson College. Right. But this Shawnee, this is a rivalry. 4 of the last 4 conference tournaments have been won by one of the 2 teams. It's a rivalry that's featured national and conference players of the year, national and conference coaches of the year. So, I mean, it has everything to offer, and these are the games at home and the PAL you want, but if nothing else, just to be a part of these is a lot of fun. And it's so much for our teams, and so much for our teams once we get to the tournament. And I told the kids, I said, this is not a national tournament game, this is a Final Four game. And I believe that. I believe that we have a Final Four team. I believe Shawnee has a Final Four team. And so that's a game that you're getting ready to walk out on your home court and play a Final Four game. And so, yeah, they're very talented. Their style is a lot different than ours, but they've got some very, very talented players. And now looking ahead, no easier. You go to Lindsey Wilson. It's going to be a top 10 matchup with the Blue Raiders come tomorrow night, Thursday night, as the Lady Tigers get set for a 7 p.m. tip-off in Columbia. And Kayla Stiles back, some familiar names over there on that Blue Raiders sideline. It's going to be a fun one at the Biggers. Kayla Stiles, in my opinion, and there's a lot of opinions out there, is the best player in the country. She's the best player in the league, and then I think there's nobody as full-rounded as Kayla Stiles. And then she's got some really good players around her. Again, they've been battling some injuries. They have their point guard back, and they have their 2-3 guard back, and so we've got our hands full over there. Athletic team, and you have to stop Styles, and then if you've got kids to go around her, that's even worse. So we've got our hands full.
Then Cumberland on Saturday for the Lady Tigers. Lindsey Wilson Thursday, Cumberland Saturday. Coach, thanks for joining us. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Coach Ginger Colvin and the Lady Tigers Thursday night against Lindsey Wilson College over at the Bigger Sports Center. Make the trip over to Columbia. If you can't, join us on 88.7 The Tiger. We'll step away, come back. We'll visit with the head coach of the Tigers, Brent Vernon, here on Inside CU Sports.
Here at Saloma Baptist Church, our mission and ministry extends beyond our walls. We are focused on teaching all ages about the love of Jesus, preparing them for a life of mission. We are committed to serving the local community and the world in the name of Jesus Christ. For more information on service times and mission opportunities, please visit our website at salomabaptist.com. We extend a warm welcome to you and your family here at Saloma Baptist Church.
My name is James C. Miller III, and I started to work at Taylor County Bank on July 1st, 1960. The bank was started because during the crash, the banks here failed, or at least one of them did. So there was a need for an additional bank in Taylor County. But the thing about our bank is this, that we had an old slogan back then: first in service, first in safety, first in convenience, and that's what we've always tried to do, and I think we still do.
Whether you're 2 or 102, the Tigerville Grill has something for you. Take advantage of the Build Your Own Burger menu. In the mood for something small? Choose one of the many delicious slider options. Call ahead and use our fast and easy drive-thru. Oh, that cool freestyle fountain drink machine? We've still got it. The Tigerville Grill, located at 314 North Columbia Avenue and open to the public 11 to 8 daily.
Thanks for staying with us, Tiger fans, here on Inside CU Sports. Matt Payton in the WLCU studio, joined now by the head coach of Tiger basketball, Brent Vernon, in his second season. Coach, thanks for taking a few minutes to join us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
The Tigers getting set for a big one with Lindsey Wilson College tomorrow night, Thursday night. The Tigers will travel over to Columbia. But before we get too far into our conference schedule and where the Tigers are at the moment, let's rewind just a little bit, Coach. It's been a while since we've talked here in a formal setting in the studio. Let's go through the roster a little bit. You got some key returners, Sean Johnson, Hagan Tyler, and others playing a big part for the Tigers. And a lot of new faces, some junior transfers. You've got Andrew Smith, Tim Coleman, Duke Robinson as a senior, and then also Simpson Anderson. So a lot of new faces to this roster as well.
It has been, and it's been a tough go throughout the whole year, just trying to figure out the pieces and where they go. But we've done a good job with that, and it all starts with Hagan, Sean, throwing Jalen Coates and those guys who return, because they know what we're trying to do and what our expectations are, and they've set the tone from the jump, and those guys have, for the new guys, they've bought in for the most part, and by now they all have bought in. It's just a grind of figuring out where they go and how they fit and the piece of the puzzle, but we've done a good job finding that, and those guys have done a good job of doing what we've asked them to do all year.
We look at the first semester there, the fall semester. You get started in the Mid-South Southern States Challenge. You go down there and 3-0 in that little challenge play, and that's a tough setting. You've got 3 games, 3 days against some quality opponents from the Southern States, and I think maybe you learned a little bit about your team in that scenario, knowing that they can play back to back to back.
We did, and the Southern States has a very good league. We knew it'd be 3 challenging games, and it was. Prior to the year, if they said, "Hey, you're gonna go down and win all 3 and be double-figure winners," I probably would have said you're crazy. But we went down and competed really hard, and we used our depth to our advantage and played a lot of guys and played very hard and did a good job. So that was something and a good start to our pre-conference slate and just getting the season going on the right track.
And talking about the pre-conference schedule for the Tigers, it was all pre-conference, and then you got out of non-conference play. 16 games before conference play starts. The Tigers go 15-1. Coach, I know you look at that schedule, that may have even been a little bit, if somebody had told you 15-1 prior to Georgetown at home on the 6th of January, would you take it? I think you would have took that record.
Yeah, definitely. And, it was one of those things. We had teams on our schedule who have had great tradition. Maybe not as good this year they have in the past, but that's something you can't really see whenever you're making the schedule. I thought we had teams that would help us get prepared for conference, and it did. And, you know, again, 15-1 with the one little slip up at home to IU Southeast, who's a very good team. I was very proud of our production first semester.
And this Mid-South Conference, as we move into conference play, the way that schedule works out, I'm not sure, not that there are any easy ones by any stretch. Even Shawnee was a challenge this past weekend, but you get Georgetown, Cumberland's, Life, and Pikeville in those first four. That's kind of tough sledding, and it didn't quite go your way. A slow start to the conference schedule, but at the same time, you still have some first-round conference games to go here.
We did, and again, starting out 0-4 obviously isn't what we expected. The Georgetown game took a lot out of us. I want to say it was a very emotional game, a game that, you know, we played very well and competed at a very high level. We led for most of the game and just late couldn't make enough shots to get over the hump and had a few mental mistakes, and it seemed to really take a lot out of us. You know, not one game is any more important than the other, but sometimes whenever you're talking to 19 to 22-year-old kids, it's hard to understand. Georgetown was number one at the time. We were really looking to try to get a real big signature win. And so as coaches, we moved on. And I think our guys sort of not felt sorry for themselves, but just played the what-if game a little bit too much. And we had a tough road stretch at Cumberland's and Life, two very good teams in our league. Didn't compete the way that I would like. Got back after that trip, really got back to work, and you know, we had to see how tough can we be. We weren't showing the toughness I wanted to see, and we really got to work. And it started at Pikeville, didn't finish, but we saw a lot of progression. And then Saturday against Shawnee, really proud of the way our guys battled and got a win.
You look at that Shawnee game as we kind of cover it briefly here. You've got a quick start there for the Tigers. You jump out. You have a 7-point lead at halftime. Shawnee battles back. And I know that kind of a theme here over the last few weeks, 3 weeks, has been those lulls. You had a lull right out of the gate against Cumberland's, midway first half against Life. You've talked about those. And you kind of had that against Shawnee in the second half. And I'm sure over on the sideline you've got to try to stay positive. But in the back of your mind, you got to be thinking, oh, boy, is this again? Or, you know, how do you go through that? And
that's sort of been our MO. You know, Cumberland's, we start out slow. Georgetown, we had a lead. Pikeville, we had a lead at the half. Whenever we're playing Life, you know, it was very competitive the first half until we went into our little late in the first half. So I think a lot of times what happened with our guys was, as things were positive, things were good. And then when something started going wrong, they went through, here we go again. I tried to keep that out of my mind as much as I could, but I'd be lying if I say, oh, right, where are we going to go? But instead of having that, we put together 5 or 6 stops in a row, put a run together of our own, and did what a good team's supposed to do and battle through that.
Yeah, Shawnee comes back, grabs the lead, but the Tigers able to run away down the stretch, and it came down to some free throw shooting for Campbellsville to make enough of those at the line, and that's a Shawnee team coach that is really young, but Coach Thomas has really put his stamp on that team with some of the young guys, the freshmen that he's playing early.
He has, and he's done a really good job. I want to say had some good returners coming back from a team that obviously was well coached by Coach Hamilton, and then brought in a few transfers, not many, but some freshmen, some very talented freshmen that really has made them go. The big guy in the middle, he's leading the nation in block shots, and he had his fair share against us. But it was something that, again, we needed something positive to happen. And our guys really worked through that. We worked together as a group. Our energy level on the bench and the floor was a lot better than it had been, and that's what good teams do.
Well, now you're tasked with trying to build off that win over Shawnee, get that first conference win, and now you've got to go. It's a short trip, but it's a big rivalry game with Lindsey Wilson. It's a team that entering the polls last week was number 2, undefeated. They lose one to Cumberland, so obviously they're going to be motivated. How do you keep that ball rolling this week?
Well, we worry about Lindsey, but not that much. We're trying to move away from that because I got too caught up in worrying about our opponents. We'll get into Lindsey when it's time, and that'll be later on today, watching some film since we play tomorrow. But we worried about us these first 3 days of practice this week, and we've gotten after it really well. I like the progress we're making, the toughness we're showing, because against Lindsey in that environment, we're going to have to show a lot of toughness, both on the floor and then mentally, because it's going to be a great atmosphere. Number 2 team in the nation on the road, a rivalry game. So if we can stay within ourselves, we'll have a good chance on Thursday.
The Tigers and Lindsey Wilson College coming up Thursday night. Tomorrow night, Campbellsville's Lady Tigers plays tips off 7 p.m. The guys, it's a late tip-off in the Eastern time zone, 9 p.m. for Coach Vernon and company. You may have to whack me on the table there, Coach, and keep me up if it gets a little
right there
slow.
with you.
We have too many foul calls. That'll put you to sleep. So, but the Tigers and Lady Tigers in action tomorrow in Columbia. Head over and watch the game if you can't. Make sure you tune us in on 88.7 The Tiger. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
Thanks, Matt.
Coach Vernon and the Tigers Thursday night against Lindsey Wilson College. We'll see you next week here on Inside CU Sports.
A champion doesn't get days off. It takes determination and drive to realize goals. From long nights to early mornings. From the courts to the classrooms to online. At Campbellsville University, this is why we play. This is how we learn. This is where champions are made. Find your calling for a life change at campbellsville.edu.
Campbellsville University Cosmetology teaches beauty inside and out. The cosmetology students at CU receive salon experience while learning in a contemporary environment from faculty who have worked in the industry. With areas of study ranging from hairstyling to salon management, Campbellsville University Cosmetology can help you turn your passion into a profession. Kickstart your cosmetology career today. Visit campbellsville.edu/cosmetology.
WLCU-TV, a service of Campbellsville University. Comcast Cable Channel 10.